Great and beautiful morning and evening to you all, wherever you are joining me at this moment. Welcome to 521 edition of Invest Data Trading Academy live with Ambrose. I'll tell you that the market across the globe have rebounded powerfully this morning, and NGS Nigeria is not left behind. Yes, we start from Asia market to give you an insight what is happening in that market right away as we speak. I'll tell you that Asia market has kind of inch up, but on a mixed direction, if I would say. But most of the indices in that region are in green, while some also are looking a bit flat as to speak. But on the strength that the Hong Kong market is one leading the mixed direction as to speak now, losing some little, or let's say marginally, as a result of rising geopolitical tension over U.S. involvement in the world in Israel and the Iraq conflict. As we speak now, also Japan has advanced, like I told you, that onto a new 4 months high. If I would say a new 4 month high on a week what on a week yen. Don't forget that I told you that last week, last Monday, that inflation figure in that environment are likely to come out, and that also will trigger some of rate hike. But because of the low the weaker yen, knowing that it's an exporting economy, that we're also saying that yes, it's already impacting the market, also hitting for advancing toward 4 months high in that region. I'll tell you that all eyes are still on board. Investors across the globe are looking to see the outcome of what the outcome of the upcoming Fed meeting on rate hike or rate decision. Let me put that way, because I tell you, some school of thought or some sector of the market are looking at Fed leaving a rate or change, while some are looking at kind of peddling. That means they're trying to go into losing again. But I believe let's see what will happen. But no, I'm also having a school of thought that say the period or kind of the tenure of the chairman of Fed might likely to rate to say around May 2026. But let's watch and see what will come. But as we speak now, even with the tariff war, we have noticed that since the Trump came aboard, we are not seeing kind of a gallop or kind of a jump in prices in that domain. That also because that inflation is not really jumping as expected because of the tariff. That's another thing. Data. Don't forget that in any central banks, attention is pay more on what on inflation to see whether that is right to manage. But it depends. But I believe that looking at the dynamics of the trade war compared to what we have experienced before, trade tariff or whatever I call it, that is also what we want to guide the Fed in taking decision. But I believe that also investors are digesting this Japan latest trade data, which also highlight that impact of impacted by US that US tariff. All believe that all different domain have a war of trying to navigate this this what we call a trade war, what I call it. Yeah, but I believe that as these regions trying to navigate and struggle, we are seeing that there is reflecting some uncertainties, looking at what is happening. Or that's why I see the market. I told you that here in this market, it's able to narrow. We've seen that kind of. I believe that as they manage what is happening, but there's kind of escalating. Israel and Iran conflict, extending to more than 6 days now, has also put some uncertainties and also market attempt to like how they can manage this risk and all those stuff. But I believe that as things become clearer, but the outcome of also G7 meeting has not also given a clear direction where the G7 stand in this regard as with what is happening. But I believe that there's a kind of I believe that most investors are wanting to see how US react to it, and also how okay. But China president has made kind of a move to let peace reign in this region, in this Middle East, and that also will be that would be a good thing. But I think that Australia index is also, like I told you, it's unchanged at this hour, and that of India is also unchanged. As I said, in that region, we're seeing this kind of a flat market also. But I believe that Japan, not dropping in terms of export report or data, also because of to reflect this tariff rate, and also despite that, I think that the market also hits almost hitting them 4 months high on like I told you about the strength of the weaker or weaker what the currency or yen. These are the things that's impacting that. But also crude oil price also we see that impacting largely because of what is happening in this this Middle East reflecting, and also believe that if the needful if the if this seven and others who can do the needful now, that also might bring a kind of a relief to that zone and also to the global economy, because I tell you uncertainties and the tension in the world today is on the rise. But I'll tell you, as a trader investor, you're going to navigate all these volatilities, all these happenings to stay ahead of what the market and also to make money. I believe that that's why knowledge is power, and you continue to also acquire and also implement. But one thing that to learn and what to do to put it into action. But we'll continue to look at what is happening. If you look at also European market is equally mixed, and also we're seeing some headway. But I believe that today, all eyes are still also looking at the inflation data from UK, where we see it look a bit cool, slight from what we saw in the month of May. Or in May, but I believe that this data will also give more release or no, but more relief, sorry, to investors in that region and to the global international investor looking at that report. Please remember that I believe that Bank of England also may likely also leave a rate or change. Don't forget that they also as a Fed in this meeting also we expect that also the meeting now also later this week. I mean either tomorrow or Friday, one Friday for Bank of England. That also say what it is the rate going to be like. They're going to leave the rate unchanged. Don't forget that their last meeting they had about a 25 basis point cut. Are they going to continue in that direction with all this global shift in terms of trade and all those fundamental shift in trade and all those? Let's see how it goes. These are the things we're going to also look at and also how it's going to impact their decision come any moment from these days, tomorrow or Friday, the outcome will come out from their Fed meeting. That's also their policy meeting in that England, and we also believe that see ECB being the major bank in that region, but because of Germany being a stronger economy, we also look at what all is going to play out. But I believe that analysts are also expecting that the consumer price index also rise to also be kind of what will guide the trend. But I believe that as a drop below the forecasted figure, that also might see if the dollar is or going to remain unchanged. But let's wait and see from that report. We believe that the household finance also is under a new direction. Let's see how that market going to, and also don't forget that British public expectation. Also, looking at the budget, last week, I mean last 2 weeks I was discussing here. Let's see how all this financing and also budget planning will go to play a way to kind of strengthen that economy. But I believe that at the end of the day, at Bank of England whole policy meeting tomorrow, like I told you tomorrow, and that will expect what will be the outcome of. I think it's better to hold rates this time, to remember to hold the rates unchanged, and also then moving to another further cut after they've done this at the earlier time for now. But let's wait and see. But if you come to what is happening in the US market, good one. I said that despite the Iran and the Iran and the Israel conflict, I see that market is also looking up in that region, and also ahead of a Fed meeting today, to see the outcome of the meeting. But I'll tell you that the market is also pointing in the north direction, and despite the tension, despite what is happening in the Middle East for almost since the this fight between Ukraine and Israel, has entered, becoming worrisome to many of the leaders. But actually, there's a move that Trump is also kind of looking, he might also go in the side of Israel to make sure that most of this nuclear site of Iran is all kind of brought down. But let's wait and see what bring down. That's what will happen. But I believe that it is the time for the G7 and G20 to come together and see that all these conflicts are resolved to put the global economy in a good trajectory to start recovering after Trump conflict tariff have kind of changed the change the direction and brought the kind of fundamental shift in trade and other stuff. But let's see how they can put this conflict to an end so that they can know what they are facing. That will also help all of us. Let's wait and see how it goes. But good news, like I said earlier, that the US market is looking up at this hour. All the three major indices there, the Dow Jones, the S&P, and Nasdaq, they are all in green as we speak right away. Move on for the extending activities of what we saw yesterday, Thursday, Tuesday, trying to ease the mixed market, trying to also earlier gain that was seen right away. But let's see how it goes in that market. I think it sustain the end of the day. That would be very, very nice. Despite the volatility we are seeing. Oil price, like as I've said earlier, have decreased. Despite being almost 4%, around above almost touching $75. We are seeing in the stock thanks to the oil price going down now. Don't forget that the beauty of oil price coming down will be for general, price management in US and others, especially the two biggest economy. But also price going up, oil going up is a plus for what for oil. OPEC, a country that export oil, that will be good news for them. But let's wait and see. As oil trade right now, no, trade around 76 point, 4 by almost 0.3%, to trade at 76.2 right away. But I believe that let's wait and see. Still remaining slightly above 76, like I told you earlier. That is what is happening now. But let's wait and see how it's going to finish. But I believe that Israel forces said that on social media looking at carrying out on a strike on what on the weapon production facility or site in that Iraq region. But let's see how it goes. But I believe that as this tension is going, every president, the US, China, Russia, all of them are putting them together to see if they can also book out peace in the Middle East to allow the war fight focus again. That will be then all eyes are still at the outcome of expected outcome after the conclusion of today's meeting. Gathering today. Let's see how what to come out at the end of the day to give US direction, economic direction again, and the global investors to know how to do. Also, don't forget that the Senate also passes the bill of to stabilize the stable coin bill. Let's see how that will go. But don't forget, despite that, we're seeing that Bitcoin is almost down. It's also trading around 105. Amidst the Middle East crisis. But let's see how all this is going to play out. But I believe that also US banks regulator planning also to ease some capital rules. It's a good one for them, just like what was in Nigeria. US banks, the regulator there is also planning with respect to ease some key capital rules to also to boost what the economic there. These are the way economic can also kind of strengthen. Yes, come back to Nigeria. I'll tell you that say let me say Africa, but Nigeria and South Africa was in the market looking up today, even Ghana, but also saw some all these Eastern market also a bit missed in Africa. But let's keep our eyes on what is happening in NGS. NGS this morning have rebounded powerfully. Looking at the figure right away, it shows that the investors in this market are really trying to understand how the market reacts. Don't forget that in this class we have discussed on Monday that the circular that CPN released after the market has formed double top, that also triggered the pullback. And I told you that anytime you see market pulling back, it's for the market to gather what more strength and continue. And that's why today our topic was understanding market structure, to know when to buy and when to sell based on news. You can see that government policy news from all the different regulators has a way of influencing market. That's why I said information is good about what matters that you trade your chart. When you see information, both keep your eyes on chart. That will tell you what is happening. But as we speak now, I'll tell you that the all share index as close to another new all-time high, crossing the 16,000 mark again for the first time in the history of the market. I believe that this is the first time if you look at this chart now, you can see the pattern I'm saying here. You see after the market have formed double top here, you saw 2 days pullback before you see this long bullish candlestick here. Great, it's a good one for me. Here you can see that the volume as we speak now is relatively small, but I'll tell you that this just midday. We expect that before the market close afternoon trade out, I'm trying to see more uptrend as to speak. That is what I believe that investors should be paying attention. As to speak now, the market is trading at 116,000, 166.87. Market is up by 1,256.71 basic point, representing 1.2% up. 1.2% up. This is massive. The market range for today has been between 114,909.14 to 116,000, 116,180, 116,180.20. This is the market rate. For me, it's a good one. I see that market is hitting all-time high, and investors are smiling to the bank because what the market is really delivering as to speak. But even when the panic of non-dividend payment for the banks according to temporary suspension of dividend payment and also suspension of bonuses to board, CBN has come out. If you remember, those that have watched me on channels, I mentioned that we need a clear direction from the government, even when conflicting reports from different research firms, as we have seen online, and even on TV. But now with the CBN coming out, and also the banks involved coming out to say that yes, one of them are set to clear everything in this half year result that have boosted investors' confidence as speak now, and market is also rebounding positively as to speak. And that's why we are seeing market have crossed toward 116,000 mark for the first time in the market because of what that renewed buying interest after the confidence have been a bit kind of shaky in the last 2 trading days. But this midweek was the market for me. It's a good news for the market. As we speak now, the market is still very, very positive, and right away we're having a positive market breadth right now in the market, and that breadth is also that the investors are coming back. We're having a 28 gainers against the 13 losers, with index remaining positive for me. Already now, as we speak, it has crossed to almost 31 gainers against the 12 losers right now. So the market is becoming hot. Look at the top gainers right now. We're seeing that no and Legend Internet is the one leading by 9.79%, followed by Leakage Assurance. Also seeing that no Regency Assurance is also there. Now, so we're seeing R2B School and domestic world is an industrial and domestic gas company, which is a IMG. Also is the one among the top 5 gainers, gaining 7.3. These are the gainers chart, the top 5 on the gainers chart right away as we speak. Then on the flip side, we are seeing that mutual benefit again yesterday also on the result profit taking. FTN Coco was in MC Nico, Ikeja Hotel, and Lasaco. These are also the top 5 on the losers chart right now. The top on that top loser chart as we speak. This is the state of the market right away. But good thing that this market is have rebounded powerfully at midweek. For me, it's a good one, and that also will boost investors' confidence as a position forward for the rest of the month. Depending that this is the last month for the quarter, expect to see with the dressing as we approach the end of the quarter, because of institutional investors and also portfolio managers trying to put their account in order. Not only that, don't forget that the any season half year any reporting season is ahead in the month of July, and also expect to see APC meeting that same month also. These are the things. Knowing that we have seen economic data coming, looking better. Even the kind of easing we saw for May inflation or consumer price index was marginal, but it has sent a signal what it looked like for 2 consecutive months. Now we are seeing inflation slowing down. What will that do forward for the APC meeting or CBN committee members? Are they going to vote for now to cut 55 basis points or to leave the rate or change? But I believe that there is no possibility of hiking right now from what we have seen, looking at what is happening globally. Like I said, you can see that this week has been a week for global central banks meeting for rate. You can see that at the end of the day, we now know what most of them have left their rate unchanged. We have not seen serious hike in this, despite the tariff uncertainties that have changed some fundamentals in trade and all those stuff. But good that Nigeria is having what we call a trade surplus, which I told you last morning. Let's see how the economic manager in terms of a policy situation from CBN angle will see what is happening in the economy. If we really want to achieve the growth that expected by this government, and that is why when the news of the CBN came, I saw that yes, even when you plan to when your mind is where you are set to kind of protect the depositors and the investors, traders, but you do a way that also can boost their confidence after they have gone to the market to invest more of their money. If you have known that these banks and states, why stop you telling them after they have used your position that these banks are healthy, stable one, and they all put their money at the end of the day, you to deny them? Yes, you have know how to manage this thing between you and the banks as a regulator for building up. But I believe that it's a good one that yes, things are pointing that yes, that correction is coming late, but good one we're seeing at this moment. For me, it's not a total bad thing that the market have rebounded. It shows that yes, but we're waiting to see how the banks are going to take up this forbearance, and for investors also confident to be sustained going to the future. But our topic today, I've told you that we're looking at the understanding the market phases, knowing when to buy and when to sell based on what based on news. And news can be negative, news can be also be positive news. But the good thing is that how you because it is this news that drive what that drive sentiment. If you know this news that what drive sentiment, and that's why I said trade the chart, not the news. Pay your attention on what on the chart. You see, after before the news circular came on Saturday, on Friday evening, market has formed already that Friday. I put on Friday trading. Looking at market form a double top here, you can see it here before the next day with the information we saw a pullback, and that pullback now market that got out. So you can see that the first the market sharply in early morning burned down, but that day it came up to close marginally before. So what happened yesterday on Monday trading, I'm telling you now this Tuesday we are seeing a band. For me it's also the pattern we are looking at today. I said understand this market phase, and market phase are what are in four phases, just like the economy. I always say, for those that have followed me for a long time, even on the bigger class, you know that I always say that the economy is also in phases, and there are factors that drive economy from one phase to the other, and these factors are major, four things. One, inflation, interest rate, exchange rate, and what productivity. These are the four things that drive economy from one state to the other. And as a trader or investor, you must understand these four phases for the economy. Also for the market, market has phases, and that phases of the market is what you want to know. And with that phases, using into other technical tools to help you to know what to do in different phases. This phase, let me show you this phase with this chart now so that you understand before we now enter, considering what to buy, or what how to know how to buy or sell based on news. Don't forget that news, most of these news to come, some of them are fundamental, news that you want to look at. Some of them are just sentiments. Some also these are things I know because when there is a bad news, hit the market, there's another trend out. Where's the good news in the market? How does this good news or bad news affect company, sector, or the general economy? Using your fundamental analysis, and also coming to technical to see how market is reacting to those news. That is what matters, because those news will drive sentiment, that will drive volatility, also will drive money flow. That means you must pay attention to see what state of the market are we and what is about to happen. If you see this chart now, okay, this is let's say a daily chart. For easy understanding, let me make this chart a monthly chart, so that you can get what I want to say here easily, so that you can come easily for understanding. This is a monthly chart. You can see how it is trading now. This is a monthly chart, and this chart there are different, can see up and down. This chart in this up and down, or what we call it, uptrend and downtrend. We call it. This will give you different phase of the market. This phase of the market, let me say for example, market is coming here. This is we can say this was a decline phase. Take the whole. No, I'm not looking at up. Take the trend, because even when it comes up here, didn't get to this is a decline phase. For market try to rebound or recover from here. Let me take my, so that will be easier for me. From here to here, this point, this point, this point, this point. You can see where the market is. Market from here to here, so that I need to show you what I'm like. I'm so pay attention. At this point here, we call it market is consolidating. At this point, market is consolidating. At this point, that's the in this point between here and here, market within this one, this low line. This we call what? We call it a consolidation. This is a resistance level, this is a support level here. In between here is called the value area of the market, which is also very, very important. This value area is where you need to come out a breakout. Within here, you want to pay attention. From this point, it's almost fast trading. Can you tag this one as accumulation phase? Fine, but when it's report here, that also enter what a decline phase, because this is not a correction or what say a distribution phase. I will show you the distribution phase. Here is a correction pullback here. Like here we say this is a what a markdown phase or a decline phase, in what you want to call it. But from here to this point can be tagged as accumulation. You can see here to here, you can see you are accumulating. Why from here to this way is a mark of phase. It's a mark of phase. Here to this point is mark of phase. Let me also put a line so that it becomes easier for us. Then from here to this point is a mark of phase. Mark of phase. You can see here to this is a mark of phase. Then in between here, and there are different factors that drive this mark of phase. But between here to this point, Okay, let me put it here to this point. So follow me so that you understand what is called a distribution phase. At this point, let me not push this thing too much here. Okay, I see from here to this point, you can look at this chart here. From here, see this is the what I said a mark-up phase. But here you got here the market slowed down. You can see that it pulled back here. After 3 days, 4 days, it went up here. But in between this place at this point here is called the distribution phase. Market is with the you can see here the distribution phase. As a trader investor, when you are distribution phase, you are waiting to see a breakout for you to continue. At distribution phase, you need to also have taken profit from here so that you now wait as market is oscillating here. So when you see this sign for this invert hammer, and when you see market going up and you see this one, it's a sign of correction. Put after that, you can see that there's a correction here. It came up here, but it has not beaten this uh, um, resistance that touch here. But it got again, it started breaking down. But we're now watching that until it breaks out this support level. That's why we now confirm a decline. But from here to this point, that market is distribution phase. That's why here is the decline. I told you that earlier we have 4 different market phase. One is what accumulation phase, which I told you how it looked like. If you are taking this point here, it's accumulation. But coming down here is a decline, it's a correction. But from here to here now is accumulation before a breakout to this level. This is also a markup what a markup phase. Now at this point, the reduction phase. Why here down? You can see from here now, you can see that after it put down here, it came up, but it didn't resist, it didn't break out this level again. Going to go down. That's why it's a markdown phase here. This also you can say this also a markdown phase. We take totally markdown phase. Why this also is a markup phase here? It's like a complete markdown or a decline phase. Here is also at the point of what a markup phase. Here you can say here is also like a distribution phase. Then for another markup, or here's another word, another markdown. Distribution phase also sorry, a decline phase or a markdown phase before this upward. Quickly we'll go to a daily chart that will give us the clear direction of what we are discussing today. Because of our discussion, we need to also pay attention to that. It's very, very important. You can see the chart. This for the chart. I told you at this point from here, this point where my cursor here, from here to this point, after market I go to it get to this level, it pull back. That's after that market also, but market did not break out this at this point. At this point is at a reduction phase. But when market break down here, that confirm a decline phase. Then that market try to side trend. You can see this one is accumulation before what before you now see another word pullback. That's also. But here also you can see here also at this point here to here you can say it's another side trending which also accumulation before the markup we are seeing now that have been on uptrend. Pullbacks are different from from decline. Decline we are seeing it going down, but a pullback can be for 2 days, 3 days, or day. But pullback that is not going below the last candlestick. There is a strong pullback, and that's where market got trend. Can see that after market pullback here, can see here it move up and it break out this one. That's why the market is making a new trend. And this was also a resistance level, top resistance level from here to here. For market when it pulled back, it break it out, it went up here, it came down again, it got more trend, it break out this resistance level here, it continue. When you get to the level, it kind of enter on the distribution phase before you know it, the market continuing an uptrend. But here it's also a kind of distribution phase because market have not taken out this last candlestick here, with the pullback. Still watching at this distribution phase. But once even our market reverse, you can see that you must pay attention. But here, what are the critical things that you want to consider as bad news or good news? It's very, very important for you to know. This bad news will give you, let you how the market react. That's why you must pay attention to what the kind of news you are considering. The news that will open door for you to buy, the news that also will make you want to sell. When you see a bad news, that headline that is also a company, you say that's a negative news, you can cut your loss and start running. But you know that what is happening is that okay, it's a pullback that has an opportunity for me to buy. Knowing that news, you have looked at that news and interpret that news. Also paying attention to what, also taking through or think through the price and also the earnings outlook of that company. That is why I say this has to be fundamental. You look at what is the factors behind that news and how is market reacting to it. You can see these are the news that you also bad news and good news. The bad news, you know how to cut your loss. But if one is a news that that is not too good, you look at what is the price action and the earnings outlook of that company or that what is happening before you pay attention. Because as we say, all these different phases of the market apply to the market and also individual stocks. That's why you must pay attention to it, because this, earnings outlook, you have to look at where the company going, and also you are continuing to compare company's current P ratio and historical P ratio. Also, you want to look at the company, earnings growth. You want to similar in that industry. How is it? It has to also guide you. Also, you must do prior analysis of, on hope that these companies. Because I believe that when you do that analysis, to be able to know whether you buy a stock or not. That's why analysis is very, very important. Like what we are doing now, you must think through to see what the news is. It a negative one? Then you now look at whether to jump in or to jump out. But combining news and stock valuation, and all these are very, very important. When you combine the news and stock valuation, it gives insight. If it's a positive news, fine. With the news, with the stock valuation, the high price is good. If it is a bad news, how long will it take? Now look at the stock valuation, the prospect, and also the future of the company earnings, whether it's a hold for you or to sell. This will help you to know. That's why I say you must know all these so that you make informed investment decision. Bad news can be a potential buying opportunity if the market has already not incorporated that bad news into what, into the share price. You can see that it's very, very important. You must know attention that also when price is also overrated, also there's overreaction, or also or that you also know that this overreaction is a matter of time. It's going to also revert. You know how to invest on it, to analyze the news and evaluate the P ratio or the earnings outlook of that company, whether it is time to buy. And that's why look at your chart to see where is the company at that particular time. Is it at the accumulation stage? Is it at a decline phase? Is it at also at the markup phase? You also know, because that will help you to know exactly what to do without hesitating, without also not guessing. I believe that this will also guide us to make what informed investment decision. Then before I run it up, I want to quickly show you, the program we have, so that you can also see. Look at this, the program for coming up on the 29th of, or the 28th, sorry, of June. You can see these are the speakers for the, you can see like Kofi, Mr. Rashid Momo, and others, that will be there, Mr. Peter. These are professionals in the market. Myself will be there, so that we'll also tell you what to do for the third quarter, how you go to position, and also take advantage of what opportunity in the market. Unlocking trading opportunity on NGS amidst fundamental shifts in global macro data and uncertainties, even at this local level. How can you harness all this and make what information and what in today? We look forward to see you then in that discussion, in that meeting. On already, people are really, taking advantage of discount. You can also equally do the same, to position for the world for the coming master class. On this note, I will say thank you and see you on Friday by God's grace. Bye.